Hey everybody, David Newton at DTN2 Horror, here with the response to a video that Andrew Ballina made last week in which he discussed 10 horror movies that made his childhood. I've pulled 8, the other 2 I own digitally, but I'm going to kick things off with the earliest memory I have of seeing a horror movie, and that would be A Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't need to go into too much details about Freddy Krueger. I will say that he was the scariest for me in parts 1 and 2. From 3 onwards, he kind of had that comedic edge to him, which, in my opinion, kind of cheapened the franchise. Number 2 for me is The Return of the Living Dead. This one didn't scare me so much because of the reanimated corpses or Tar Man. For me, this was more scary because it is set in Louisville, Kentucky, which is about an hour and a half from where I live. So the thought of there being a factory in Kentucky that could release gases into the air and reanimate the dead was a little bit too much for the 8-year-old me. The next movie has been deemed the scariest movie of all time. It came out in the 70s. I, of course, didn't see it until I was probably 8 or 9 years old in the 80s. But that is The Exorcist. I find movies that deal with possession are more scarier than movies with monsters and ghosts and stuff. So, this movie really bothered me as a kid. This is one of the first ones I can recall that gave me nightmares. But, you know, it's a scary movie. And I think this scariest movie of all time is very accurate. At least it was for me. The next one is Fright Night. Andrew mentioned how the cover art for Child's Play 2 kind of drew him into the movie. Well, that's kind of the same case with this one. I can remember walking up and down the aisles of my local video store and seeing this and just begging Mom to rent it for me. This is one of my favorite vampire movies. I really like the character of Jerry, played by Chris Sarandon, and then Evil Ed. So, Fright Night. Speaking of vampire movies, this is my all-time favorite vampire movie, Lost Boys. I can remember seeing this, I think I was 10 when this came out, but the vampires were much younger than vampires I'd seen before, like in the old Hammer and Universal Monster movies. They almost look like high schoolers to me. And that was one of the first movies I can recall seeing where the vampires had fangs on these 2 teeth instead of their incisors. So that was always cool to me. The next one I don't own a copy of, at least on DVD or Blu-ray, but that would be Silver Bullet. I want to say that was probably the first werewolf movie I ever saw. I could be wrong. I may have seen clips of American Werewolf in London and The Howling, but Silver Bullet was scary to me because, as we all know, the werewolf is the priest. It's the thought of not feeling safe in my church and the preacher or priest being the werewolf was scary to me as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid. The next one is Pet Sematary. This came out in 92, so I would have been 15 and in high school. The characters of Gage and the cat Church didn't scare me so much as Victor Pascal and Zelda did. They were just really creepy in that movie, especially Zelda. But yeah, this is one that I can remember as a 15-year-old still watching from behind my hand in certain scenes, especially ones with Victor. He would just kind of pop up here and there, and it was really kind of troubling. The next movie is the Fly. I don't own that one, but I can just remember the scenes with Jeff Goldblum, like vomiting on his food to start the digestive process. To this day, I am scarred from that movie. I will not eat anything that a fly has landed on. So, thank you, Jeff Goldblum. The next movie, I don't own on Blu-ray or DVD. I do have a digital copy of it, but that is Flatliners. Again, it stars Kiefer Sutherland. He was one of my favorite actors from the 80s and 90s. I just really enjoyed the storyline of this one. I wouldn't call it horror so much as it is more of a psychological thriller, but I just really like the storyline of being able to experience death and then come back to life and share your experience. That was a very cool idea in my mind. It's one of my favorite movies. I'd put it in my top 5 list anyways. But this last one is my absolute all-time favorite scary movie, and that is The Silence of the Lambs. Again, not one that I would call horror, but there was some gore in the movie, and I just really loved Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of Hannibal Lecter. I like Ted Levine's portrayal of Buffalo Bill. Jodie Foster did a great job as Clarice. But this was one that came out when I was 14. I just really liked the whole storyline of using a killer to catch a killer. Just a masterpiece in my opinion. So those are my 10 movies that made my childhood. I'd love to hear what your 10 movies are. So if you want to, you can leave a comment down below, or better yet, film your own video. I'd love to hear your responses. Well, that's going to do it for my video. Hope you all are doing well, and until next time, take care. Thanks.